we are forged in the fires of, well, actually, the forging of the fire in the fire is growth that you experience.
I can do this. I got to figure it out. I'm going to get this done. I am going to accomplish this. I can definitely do that, but it's going to take time. Simply verbal affirmation to yourself that people in this generation are giving out participation awards and, hugs and stuff like that.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 1% Podcast. I am Shane. All right, I love it. Shane's hyped. I am your host, Vin, and that is...
I'm Shanathan.
Shanathan. Shanus McRiggis. So...
Sounds like a baseball player.
A very Irish one.
And Shanus McRiggis comes to the plate.
And he knocks it out of here. He's got the 4-leaf clover, all that great stuff. So anyway, we are here today to deliver another silly and insightful podcast, because I think that's kind of what we do well. And we are going to be focused on how to stay motivated and beat your competition. But in reality, are we ever actually in competition? Because the biggest thing is I don't want to beat anyone. I want us all to win. But I also I want to win too. So how do we do that? I want
all to win. That's what I say to my friends. I want all to win. I love that. Yep. But I just want to win more.
Right. You could win, just not as much as I win.
Well, in life, that's fine. But it's just, I'm a competitive person. You're a competitive person. Like you want everybody to be successful and happy and, so on and so forth. But
let's talk about that
more.
No, but let's talk about that actually. Before we get into the other stuff on this podcast, I think that's actually great. It's really interesting that people don't understand. Competitiveness is extremely important in the world. And the word competition is, I forgot the breakdown of it, but there's a part of it in Latin. But competition combined is actually supposed to mean to conspire with. To conspire with, because we conspire with one another to elevate our standards, our lives, and achieve higher and more. When you get rid of competition, you actually get rid of a lot of the drive, the desire to grow. Like if you and I set a goal, hey Shane, let's compete to see who could generate more revenue. Even if one of us, quote unquote, loses, we both still win because we most likely had played harder, done more, and generated more because of the fact that we made it a competition. Where if Shane's just out there like, I need to generate revenue because I need to, and I got a business and I need the monies,
100%.
He's probably not going to do as much. So I think that's actually interesting, right? Yeah. Like competition's a really great thing, and society has let us believe that it's not, because there's also a lot of ego involved in competition, because people forget it's about conspiring with in what can be fun in a competitive nature, as opposed to I have to be better than you because you're crap and I'm not, and I need to show you that by winning, because that's a whole nother conversation, and that's not really competition. But it's not competition either. To me, that's not competition. That's somebody who has something to prove because they actually feel inferior.
Right.
Because true competition challenges you to do it for fun. Like at the end of it, win or lose, it was a good time because you know that you were conspiring with one another to actually say how you could elevate in life.
But let's talk about win and lose, and not participation awards and hugs and cuddles afterwards. Like I'm teaching my son
you always got to cuddle afterwards, Shane.
That if you lost the game, you lost, right? And that's okay. It's okay to lose because people learn from failure. And if you want to get better, you need to understand how to lose. Like the fact that people in this generation are giving out participation awards and, hugs and stuff like that. Like I hear just crazy things, especially from my wife being a second grade school teacher. It's ridiculous. I'm like, you need to teach the kid to lose. That's how people get better in life.
Yep.
I just don't get it. I really don't.
You know what it is? Here's the biggest thing. It's because it sucks to lose. It sucks to fail. It's never a good time. Like if you're trying to learn a trick for motocross, to fail means you're probably going to break your leg or some crap, or you might destroy your bike. And that sucks. Nobody wants to experience that. It's going to be an expensive lesson, most likely. whether it's through a long recovery phase or destroyed bike and now you have to buy a new one or whatever the case is. So society is looking to mitigate your pain. Society is trying to tell you it's okay to lose because you don't actually lose. Like, even if you lose, here's a win. But the reality is that through our pain, we are forged in the fires of, well, actually, the forging of the fire in the fire is growth that you experience. Through your pain is the fires that will forge your experiences that will lead you to a better, higher quality life. And if you try to avoid that, what you're actually avoiding is your opportunity for growth. And so if we bring it back to even the idea of what entrepreneurship is about hardship. Whoops. But you know what? We'll leave it in there anyway, because that makes sense too. It's about hardship of doing hard shit, because the reality is an entrepreneur is going to sit there and they're going to fail a lot. And it's going to be really uncomfortable and it's going to really suck in a lot of ways at a lot of times. And usually, unless you're handed a lot of money, like I wasn't, you're going to probably go broke a few times in your entrepreneur journey. There have been times where my bank account has been negative a few $100s. There have been times where I paid my bills and had $10 left over. There have been times where my girlfriend paid my credit card bills because I didn't have any money to pay them with. Shout out to her, right? But that's painful too. And a lot of people don't want to experience that. And a lot of people want to quit that. But that's also the real world. Like this stuff, the participation trophies, the hugs, the there's no losing, that's not real. That's a bubble. And when you come out of your bubble, you're going to get hit with today's society where you have the Gen Z complaining about a long work day or a tough work week or the fact that they're expected to do things for their entire work day. Like, that's a problem. It's all a problem.
I mean, it's there, right? We all know it's there. This whole conversation can just turn into, something completely different. Realizing that it is there, that there is participation awards and so much worse beyond that, as far as acceptance, that this society is turning us into sheep rather than wolves. And that's how it used to be. You guys understand that by listening to this, that you're not that, you are a go-getter, that you want to be, or you are the 1%. Yes. And competitiveness just drives you to be better. And I absolutely agree with you. I actually hate losing more than I enjoy winning, if that sounds, crazy enough as it is, but it is true, right? Winning is almost like, okay, good. I did a good enough job. But if I'm losing, there's no way I'm going to be in this position again. So I have to get better and I have to figure out what I did to get better so that next time when it comes around, I'm not here. Right. I love this. It fuels me all the time.
Well, and it's interesting because the reality is you're pretty much right. Like when you win, it's also kind of short-lived. And I think that's why you're going to actually get a bigger dopamine hit from a problem than you will from just constantly winning. Like if you're struggling with something, like for instance, video games, why video games are so rewarding is because, and I think it's cracked a code of psychology, right? In entrepreneurship, you might not be able to figure it out. Like you might fail and then, oh no, it's like, it's over. Like I failed and it just kind of is what it is, right? However, in going into entrepreneurship and struggling with something for a little bit, you'll get that hit of dopamine if you solve it, right? But you don't always know if you're going to solve it. Now, when you play a video game, for instance, even if you fail 1,000 times, you factually know they've never made a video game encounter or boss that you cannot beat. So you're actually already aware that you can overcome this problem as long as you figure out if it's a skill set, a tool set, if you got to level up, if you need new gear, new armor, you have to learn the boss's phases or the attacks or whatever the case is. So video games actually creates what we all need to move forward, which is a sense of certainty. And if you develop a sense of certainty, you will actually be able to overcome most of your problems. So I find that to be very, very interesting. Because we don't think like that. Like, what if you thought, and this is kind of going to go into the point of this podcast episode today. What if you thought that you would never hit a problem that was unsolvable? how might you interact with your business? Would that keep you motivated? Because I mean, for me personally, I am very motivated to play video games because I know that I can always win them. I know I can always win. No matter what's going on, if I need a win, I can play a video game and I'll get it. What if you thought about that, about business like that? What if you thought about life like that? What if you said, no matter what's going on, I know I'll still win? How might you respond to life? Would you stay motivated or would you feel demotivated? Shane, how do you view things that keep you motivated?
I think it's by simply verbal affirmation to yourself. It's not saying the word I can't, because you're already telling yourself that you can't do it, which you're the only person verbally that you need to hear, whether it's in your mind or it's out loud, that you're automatically saying, I can't do something. So I might as well not do it. I can't do it. No way. Not going to be done. So if you're saying these types of words, these negative, words, these negative words of affirmation, then you're not going to get anything done. However, if you transition your mindset and, more importantly, the way that you communicate, I can do this. I got to figure it out. I'm going to get this done. I am going to accomplish this. I can definitely do that, but it's going to take time. You're already a step ahead. You're already into the 1%. And especially in today's society and generation, just by saying that you can do something, you will do something, you're already different. And that's, I think, just simply enough, Vin, and it's crazy enough, just saying it, you're going to be able to do it. You're going to figure out how to do it.
Well, you got to psych yourself up a little bit. I think people don't pay enough attention to that. You need to be able to be confident, right? Now, what I've come to find is that the biggest difference maker in people's capabilities is directly correlated to their level of confidence in the thing they're going to do. This actually reminds me of an interesting story from when I was in the fire academy. Contrary to popular belief, you don't need to know a damn thing about being a firefighter to become a firefighter, which makes sense, right? Because how could you know how to be a firefighter if you've never been one? However, when you go through the fire academy, what winds up happening is you learn how to become a firefighter. And so how do you learn it? It's very hands-on. How you learn is by going out and actually doing the stuff. Like we would have 3 different grades. So we'd have this one called, FST, functional skills training. We'd have hands-on, which was different because FST was like a big obstacle course you had to do, where you would do multiple different things at multiple different times, and you have to complete the course in a specific time with oxygen still remaining in your air, in your mask, your air tank. So that was FST. Hands-on would be when we would practice knots, when we would practice tying ropes, when we would practice putting up the ladders, when we would practice climbing and rappelling off buildings. What else? It would be practicing putting on the equipment and the gear, like hands-on. And then we have academics, right? So this would be studying, reading, having quizzes or tests every week on like 5 chapters every single week in addition to all of these. And you had to maintain a 75 in each one of these areas, minimum, to graduate. Okay. So it's very interesting because in each of these things we would do, both FST and hands-on training, people would volunteer. Like they'd say, hey, who wants to go first? Who wants to try and tie this knot first? Or who wants to rappel down this building first? And it's like, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You just saw the guy do it once. You saw the instructor do it once. And now it's like, all right, who wants to try? And, it's interesting because I have always been a bit of an analytical person, right? But what's interesting that I've come to realize about analytical people is that they don't have a lot of trust. I want to analyze. I want to keep watching it because I don't trust that I understand it. But as long as I see it enough, I might be able to do it. That's kind of the logic of a lot of analytical people, myself included. That's what I've come to learn. However, you'd have other guys who have never done it. Obviously, he just saw it once. He's like, I'll go first. And I'm like, what the hell? What makes that guy want to go first? And then what I've come to realize is it's like, oh, he's actually just extremely confident in the fact that he can overcome whatever's about to come his way, that he can perform no matter what, that he can step into what he's going to be doing. And in doing that, he will trust that he'll handle whatever comes his way, good or bad. He can trust that he's going to learn by doing it. He could trust that he'll jump in and nothing bad will happen. He's got certainty. So if you want to be able to stay motivated, if you want to be able to stay in this space where you actually believe and see capability within yourself, I believe it comes down to a sense of certainty.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. Confidence is the exact reason and how I got my wife. I saw her in front of the line at a club slash bar, and she was 3 people ahead of me. And I told my buddy and said, "Hey, that's the girl I'm going to take home tonight." In confidence, right? It's not confidence, but in like just confident, right? And I lost her. It's a 2-story club. My buddy and I went upstairs, and this upstairs market has, staircase that just goes up and it's outside. So I went and grabbed a beer with my buddy, and we're standing outside, looking down, and downstairs they have fire pits and the little outside dance floor. And all of a sudden I see my future wife
Hey.
walk up, and it's like almost like in slow motion. She walks up, she goes to the bar, she's with her girlfriend at the time. And I was like, I need an excuse to go talk to her. So I told my buddy, said, hold my beer. The classic hold my beer line. And I walked over to her, and I made, some funny little comment. There was a guy dancing, and he had a little fanny pack on. And he was dancing by himself. And so I made a comment in. I'm like, that's my line right there. So I made it funny. I was like, you see this guy dancing? And she's like, yeah, he's a pretty good dancer. I was like, you think he's a good dancer? Wait till you see my moves. And that corny little cheesy line was able to me buy her a beer and memorized her phone number. And that was, 13 years ago. So I honestly, the only reason why I'm telling that story of how I met your mother and
He said the name of the show.
is right is just being confident. I honestly think that confidence is very, very important. Yeah, so I absolutely agree with you. And even if you fail, at least you tried. At least you
Well,
did something.
do you know my acronym for fail? Well, it's not my acronym. I learned it from someone, but now I use it all the time. Do you know it?
No, what is it?
Fail means first attempt in learning.
I love it.
It's my favorite one.
And I think that goes hand in hand with how we started this show, right? And teaching our little ones and teaching the kiddos that failing is acceptable, that it's the first attempt in learning. So I love that.
I think that should even be a little bit of a premise of this show. As we start getting more guests and we start bringing on more successful people, I actually, their success will wind up kind of speaking for themselves, but I actually am very curious. Like, what were your biggest failures? Like, what were the things that you learned the most from? And if we ask them that, right, even if we don't ask them what their biggest failures were, and we just ask what were the biggest things you learned from, I guarantee they're going to give us their failures. I guarantee it, because nobody's ever learned from doing shit right. You just can't, because it's already working. What do you need to learn?
To be honest, that's how a lot of books are started. If you read or listen to a lot of audio books from,
Mm-hmm.
successful entrepreneurs and business owners, majority of the time, it's about how they overcame failures.
Yeah, of course.
Who doesn't love a good story like that too? Like
Well, it
what
makes
they
people relatable.
hardship they went to, absolutely the hardships that they went through and how they overcame that and where they are now and what they're currently facing. And I love that. It fuels
Yeah,
me to want to get better.
as it should. I mean, it makes it so realistic, right? Like if you know that the guy you're looking up to is completely perfect and he was born into a family that owns a hedge fund and he never had to try and earn any money and like his life was just easy off the bat. And you
Yeah.
but at the
Like,
end of the
come
day,
on.
it's like it doesn't look like, oh, you're giving me advice. Like, yeah, bro, easy for you to say because you were given it all when you were born. But me, I got to figure it out. It starts making there be a big disconnect. So we all love a come up story because a come up story is the most realistic thing I think we could hear. It starts putting it into a perspective that perhaps the thing we really want isn't too far out of reach. Perhaps the thing we really want is actually right around the corner, and we've just kind of neglected to see that. because we didn't have a reference. But now you're giving people a reference.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know we wanted to keep this one a nice, short and sweet episode, so I think we've said our piece and our 2 cents on here. Which Vin, it's always good. You gave me the fail acronym, which now I've remembered my first attempt in learning. I'm going to definitely be utilizing that with my kids too.
Yeah.
But any quick little remarks here before we wrap things up?
No, just kind of summarize it for everyone. So at the end of the day, if you want to stay motivated, it's all about, actually, I like this. It's a Stoic saying, amor fati. Amor fati is a Stoic saying, and it means the love of fate. The love of fate is the declaration that you have the opportunity to meet every experience and circumstance in life with unparalleled enthusiasm. And if you do that, you can live a very fulfilling life. And so to stay motivated is to meet your failures with enthusiasm, to be able to look at things that are going on as opportunities instead of obstacles. And if you do that, your motivation will stay high. And if you want to beat your competition, have fun. Do things that you want to do to inspire yourself to be in alignment and really love your business and your journey. That's what I want to leave these people with here today.
Well, no point in trying to top that one, as I usually try to top them. But that was perfect as is. So thank you guys for tuning in to this nice, quick episode. We will see you next time.
Wait. We can't see him next time. We always get for Shane. We always call to action, man. Guys, if you enjoyed our episode, please share it with somebody who needs to stay motivated and get ahead of the competition. Somebody who might be struggling with failure and uncertainty. Of course, like, review, leave us a comment. And if you need help or you need any type of support, please reach out, drop us a comment, shoot us a message, whatever you could do to get in touch with us. Do it, and we'll find a way to get in touch with you.
No participation awards. If you do participation awards, how is it beneficial? Leave a comment down below. I'd be very curious to hear your response.
Love it.
All right, guys, we're out of here. We'll see you next time, now that the call to action has already been done. Okay, bye, guys.